My beloved child, listen to me very carefully. You've been waiting for a sign, asking me if today something will shift, something will finally happen that gives you the proof you've been craving. And now I want you to open your heart wide because this message carries something you were not expecting. In exactly 45 minutes, something will begin. A person is going to call you. This is not just a normal phone call, it is divinely timed. They will speak a word or ask a question, or say something emotional that will shake you. And the reason for this call is tied to something you did recently. It's not about the words you said, it's about the shift you made. They felt it in their spirit. And I allowed that moment to whisper to them, call now or lose them forever. Now let me walk you through this. And I want you to hear it the way heaven's been saying. You've been sitting in silence, pacing in private, smiling in public, and breaking on the inside. And still, you held it together. You kept showing up, kept believing, even when it felt like faith was the only thing you had left. You didn't chase them. You didn't beg for clarity. You let go without closing your heart. That wasn't weakness, that was growth. And that growth? Oh, they felt it. They may not have said anything, but believe me, it echoed. There was a day you would have explained yourself, tried to make peace, tried to prove you were enough, but not this time. This time you stood still, you let the silence speak, you let your spirit elevate, and it did something. It triggered something in them, something they can't shake. They keep replaying the last words. They keep remembering the way you handled it, with dignity, with stillness, with power. You didn't lash out. You didn't burn bridges. You walked out with grace. And now they're realizing that was the day everything changed. You think they forgot about you. You think they're living their best life unbothered. But let me tell you the truth. They've been wrestling every night, every scroll through old memories, every silence between text messages. There's been a war inside them. And now, after all this time, they're not reaching out because it's convenient. They're calling because something inside them is screaming to fix what was broken, screaming to finally say what should have been said a long time ago. This is not a coincidence. This is not random. This is God-timed. You didn't beg for this moment, you grew into it. And because you grew, it has power now. You're not who you used to be, and that's exactly what they're going to feel in your voice. They're going to hear it, the strength, the calm, the clarity. It's going to shake them because they remember you one way, but they're about to meet a version of you that only God could have formed in fire. So brace yourself. It's not just what they say about the T, the C, the chapter you thought was over. It's the realization that you were always worth it, and they just didn't see it until God removed the fog. And now, He's lifted the veil. You don't need to chase validation, it's coming to find you, with trembling hands and an open heart. And as that phone rings, I want you to remember this. You didn't wait in vain. You grew, you shifted, you healed, and heaven took notice. Now the harvest begins. You've been thinking you're not seen. You've convinced yourself that people don't understand the weight of what you carry. Even when you smile, you feel like no one really hears your silence, but I do. And the person who's going to reach out to you soon, they are starting to hear it too. They've been keeping their distance out of fear, pride, and confusion. But I've been working in their hearts silently. Their soul is restless right now, and they don't even know why. I put that stirring there. I am the reason they've picked up the phone and put it down 5 times today. They feel something pulling them, and it's me because I've seen your tears and I've heard your unspoken questions. You were never talking to the air, you were always talking to me. Let's talk about that moment. Yes, I want you to do 3 things to awaken the energy of this moment. Pause this video, hit the like button so this message reaches other chosen souls, and subscribe to join thousands of radiant spirits walking this divine path. Then, type the number 777 in the comments below. This is a powerful symbol of spiritual alignment and divine favor. When you do this, you're sending a signal to the universe that you are ready to receive everything God has prepared for you. If you are truly one of the chosen, you will stay with me until the very end, because your soul already knows this truth is meant just for you. Now listen closely. You've mistaken silence for abandonment. You've looked around and seen nothing shift, no confirmation, no signs, and you started to wonder, did God forget me? You cried your prayers into the dark, and the only response you got was the sound of your own breathing. But silence, my child, is not the absence of movement. It is the sacred womb where destiny is formed. It's the holy space between sowing and harvest. And while you've been aching in the waiting, heaven has been building behind the veil. There's something you need to understand. God's greatest work in your life often looks like nothing's happening at all. He's been quiet not because he walked away, but because he's been working on the parts of your story that are too sacred to rush. The silence was his tool. It refined you. It revealed you. It deepened your faith in a way that only stillness could. You thought he stopped listening, but the truth is, he was responding in ways your eyes couldn't see yet. See, silence doesn't mean delay. Silence means strategy, and God has been aligning every piece. You're healing their awakening, the divine timing, and the right environment, so that when the shift comes, it doesn't just restore you, it launches you. Because you don't need just a breakthrough, you need a breakout, a complete divine release from what once held you. And that kind of movement requires patience that feels like pain. They didn't reach out before because they weren't ready, and you weren't either, not fully. You were still healing. You were still learning how to speak without begging, how to love without losing yourself, how to carry power without pride. And now, you're not that same person anymore. You've been transformed in the shadows, strengthened by the silence. And just when you accepted the solitude as your new normal, God said, now they're ready. Now it's time. So when that call comes, and it will, you won't react with desperation. You'll respond with wisdom, because you'll recognize it. This isn't just someone calling out of the blue. This is the manifestation of what's been forming in secret. This is God's answer, wrapped in a voice you weren't expecting, saying things you longed to hear but had stopped hoping for. And you'll be ready. You'll be steady. Because the silence was never punishment. It was preparation. And if you're sitting there thinking, why now? Why after all this time? Know this, because now you can carry it without crumbling. Now you can hear the truth without needing validation. Now when they speak, you'll know that it was never about what they saw in you. It was about what God was growing in you when no one else was watching. So the next time you're sitting in silence, don't curse it, honor it, because the same God who speaks in thunder also whispers in stillness. And when the time is right, that stillness will break, with a voice on the other end that says what your soul's been waiting to hear. The silence didn't mean I left you. It meant I was preparing everything around you so nothing would be wasted. Not your tears, not your patience, not your pain. All of it was sacred. All of it is about to make sense. Divine timing will interrupt your ordinary moment with extraordinary revelation. That's how it works. It doesn't send you a calendar alert. It doesn't knock politely on your door. No, divine timing shows up uninvited, but always right on schedule. It walks into your life when you've stopped checking the clock and started trusting the process. It's never early, never late. It's precise. And that precision, that's the part that shocks you. Because you think you're just going through a normal day, scrolling, working, surviving, and then boom, everything shifts. That phone call you're about to receive. It's not random. It's not just someone checking in. It's been building, quietly, behind the curtain of time and emotion. Behind pride and confusion, while you were thinking maybe they forgot me, God was stirring something in their soul. A whisper here, a dream there, a moment of silence that suddenly felt unbearable. And then now the moment has arrived. Now they can't ignore the pull. Now heaven has said, move. And you've been prepped for this, even when you didn't know it. Every lonely night, every tear-soaked pillow, every prayer that ended in silence. You were being fortified for the moment divine timing would collide with your reality. You thought nothing was happening, but everything was happening. God wasn't just changing them, He was changing you too. He had to, because the blessing He's about to drop on you, you had to be strong enough to hold it without breaking this time. Divine timing doesn't need your permission. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It moves when the alignment is right, and the alignment is now. In just 45 minutes, your atmosphere is going to shift. A voice is going to echo through that phone and cut through every lie you've believed about being forgotten. You might be brushing your teeth, folding clothes, sitting in traffic. It doesn't matter. God moves best in the mundane. Why? Because that's when your heart is open. That's when you're not overthinking. That's when you're simply available. And when you answer that call, don't be surprised if you feel a chill in your spine, a heat in your chest, or a sudden stillness in the room. Because this is more than a conversation, it's a divine appointment. This isn't closure. This isn't small talk. This is revelation. This is the moment where they say something they didn't plan to say, something that shocks even them. Because heaven is going to use their voice to release something that was locked up in your spirit. A confirmation, a healing, a truth. And hear me, you don't need to prove anything when it comes. You don't need to convince, defend, or perform. Your presence in the moment is the evidence of your growth. Let your stillness speak, let your peace speak, because that's what they'll hear. Not just your words, but the calm, the clarity, the divine strength. They'll realize they're not speaking to the version of you they left. They're speaking to the version of you that was forged in silence and shaped by God's hand. So when divine timing interrupts your day, don't run, don't doubt it, receive it, trust it. Know that everything that didn't make sense before this moment is about to fall into place. And know this, God doesn't waste perfect timing on empty moments. If He's moving now, it's because He's about to release something undeniable. When divine timing knocks, it doesn't just bring answers, it delivers transformation. The transformation in you spoke louder than any apology ever could. That's the part people miss. They're out here waiting for someone to notice their pain, to hear their explanations, to finally understand what they meant. But when you're truly chosen, when God has His hand on your life, you reach a point where you stop needing closure from others and start receiving confirmation from within. You didn't need to scream. You didn't need to beg for understanding. You just transformed, and that spoke volumes. They saw it. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not when you wanted them to. But believe this, they noticed. And what shook them wasn't your silence. It was your evolution. You changed without telling anyone. You shifted in your spirit, and it sent a message that could be heard without a word. You walked differently. You stopped over-explaining. You stopped tolerating what used to break you. You didn't become cold, you became clear. And that clarity, it made them pause. It made them reflect. It made them think, wait, something's different. That's what divine transformation does. It doesn't come with a spotlight. It happens in secret, in the shadows, in the places no one claps for. But when you walk out of that season, you carry a power people can feel. The same ones who thought they could walk away without a second thought. They're second-guessing now. Not because you chased them, but because your elevation convicted them. See, apologies are just words, but transformation is proof. It's the proof that what tried to destroy you didn't win. That what hurt you didn't harden you. That the silence, the loneliness, the betrayal, it didn't leave you broken. It left you better. And they can't ignore that. They can't unsee what you've become. That's why their soul is restless. That's why they're about to reach out. Not because they figured it all out, but because your growth is too loud to ignore. You've been feeling it too, haven't you? That sense that something shifted, that you're not the same person who cried for closure. You've outgrown the old version of you that needed everyone to understand. You no longer need their apology to move forward. You became the apology in how you rose, in how you healed, in how you glowed in the dark. You didn't just survive, you transformed. And now they're coming. Not just with words, but with wonder. Because they don't know how to process who you've become. They're going to say things like, "You've changed," and they'll be right. But what they don't realize is that it wasn't personal, it was spiritual. It wasn't about proving anything to them. It was about aligning with what God always knew was inside you. Your strength, your value, your voice. So when they speak, when they try to find the right words, When they stumble through questions or confessions, let your stillness answer them. You don't have to justify your growth, it's already speaking. Loud, clear, unshakable, let them feel it. Let them sit with the weight of your transformation. And let God be the translator between what you endured and what you've become. Because in the end, the transformation in you is not just a testimony. It's a revelation, a reflection of what happens when someone chooses healing over hurt, purpose over pity, growth over bitterness. They may not give you the words you once begged to hear, but they'll feel the shift, and that's more powerful than any apology ever could be. Your growth didn't just change you, it's about to change the way they see everything. You've been misunderstood, misjudged, and mishandled, but not forgotten. That pain you've been carrying, that ache deep in your chest that whispers, "They never really saw me, did they?" I know it. I've heard every word you never said out loud. You've walked through rooms full of people and still felt invisible. You've offered love that was taken for granted. You've spoken truth that was twisted, turned against you. And every time it happened, you told yourself to shrink just a little more, stay quiet a little longer. But hear me now, you were never unseen, you were never overlooked, you were hidden by design. See, there's a difference between being ignored and being preserved. People didn't recognize your value because they weren't meant to. Not then. If they saw the fullness of who you were too soon, they would have tried to manipulate it, misuse it, mold it into something convenient for them. So God said, not yet. It's not just someone saying, "I miss you." It's God saying, "I see you." Through their words, He's going to confirm what you already knew but tried to doubt. That you mattered, that you made a difference, that even when they walked away, what you carried stayed with them. Your presence lingered. Your absence spoke, and the seeds you sowed in pain are now bearing fruit in divine timing. They'll say things they didn't mean to say. They'll admit things they never thought they would. And some of it will shock you, not because you didn't suspect it, but because it's one thing to feel it, and another to finally hear it. That's the miracle of this moment, the spoken confirmation of unspoken truths. God is using their voice to echo what He's been whispering to your heart all along. You are seen, you are chosen, you are not forgotten. But don't idolize the moment. Honor it, yes. Embrace it, yes. But understand, it's not the person, it's the purpose. This is about alignment. This is about doors opening because you refused to walk through the wrong one. This is about divine favor falling because you stayed planted in faith when you could have uprooted in frustration. So when it comes, when that message arrives or that number lights up your screen, take a breath, smile. You're not desperate, you're not broken, you're ready. You're ready. Ready to walk into what's always been yours. Ready to receive not just their words, but God's confirmation. You didn't miss your moment. You are the moment. And now the timing has caught up with the calling. The pain wasn't wasted. The silence wasn't empty. And what's coming next will prove that God never left you. He was simply setting the stage for a miracle they won't believe, and a peace you won't have to explain.